Good evening. Calling to order the Concord Township Board of Trustee meeting for October 18th, 2023. Would you please all join me in the Pledge of the Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. And next order of business, roll call, please.
Mrs. Lucci?
Present.
Mr. Dondorfer?
Present.
Mr. McIntosh?
Present. Approval of the minutes, October 4th, regular trustee meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the October 4th, 2023 regular trustees meeting minutes.
And I will second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, 3 ayes. Elected officials report, fiscal officer, Mr. James Technic.
Yes, I have no formal report this evening. Just want to wish everybody a happy Halloween. I know it's a couple weeks away, but it'll be here before we know it, and be safe.
Thank you. Trustees, Mrs. Lucci.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to comment on some of the questions and concerns that I received from residents regarding the safety services replacement levy. Residents have questions and concerns, and we appreciate everyone reaching out to us. We know there's some information that is out there that may be false or misleading, so it's very important to have clarified information before making any decisions. We did have a stakeholder meeting a few weeks ago, which went really well. We had good participation, good questions from the residents, and we have another meeting scheduled October 24th at 6 o'clock for anyone that wishes to attend. Hopefully people get the information and come and ask us questions. Other than that, questions about when Halloween will be celebrated, which will be the 31st from 6 to 8. A couple people have commented on sheets and the landscaping and the sidewalk all going in, so we're excited for that. Other than that, I wish everyone a nice Halloween also, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Lucci. Mr. Dondorfer.
Thank you, Mr. McIntosh. I also had some calls from some residents regarding the upcoming levy initiative for safety services. And I would urge anyone that has any questions, please reach out to any one of us. We're always accessible and look forward to speaking with residents, especially regarding this issue. Join us at the stakeholders meeting on October 24th at 6 o'clock p.m. We'll have another one of those that went very well, and I think the information that we collectively put out to the residents was factual and accurate, and it's transparent, and it gives everybody an idea before they go to the polls on what is accurate. I did take a couple complaints regarding zoning from a couple residents. One was concerning a sign issue on a local business, and the other was regarding a continued complaint that we had regarding some business operations. So I'm going to follow up with Mr. Rose on that and our zoning inspector. And other than that, I also would like to wish everybody a happy Halloween and hopefully a safe evening. And with that,
Thank you, Mr. Dondorfer. Been a little busy lately. I had the pleasure last week of riding the township roads with our service director, Tim Brown. We wanted to go around and see. Tim talked to me about how you evaluate roads. Let's take a look at what it is. Because we get calls. So we spent 2 hours driving the township, and Tim said, how are we on time? And I said, I have to get moving along. So there was more. But we did get a good look at roads. We talked about the stuff that's on the radar for next year, things he's already told us about. But it was time well spent. It was good to get around. And
Thanks for doing that.
I did see a resident about an issue with Kellogg Creek restoration. I've had some correspondence with a couple residents. I know there's a little bit of disconnect between the expectations and reality as far as that restoration creek, but I did walk it a couple weeks ago, and it's really, I think it's pretty fantastic. It's not in its finished state. We're still at a point where plantings need to be done, and there's native vegetation that will eventually die off that is not as pretty as we might want, but really impressive, major project. Major when you think about that lake. Did have some concerns expressed about developments, got some questions about zoning and pools and fences. And last week, Commissioner Regovich asked me to substitute sit for him at a NOACA meeting. So I had an opportunity to do that. I've heard a lot about NOACA, never been, don't have an understanding. Well, I do now have a better feel for how they work and what they do. It was an interesting experience. I was there for about half the day. And as all of us have, I've taken some questions, had a phone call, and I've been out on social media answering questions about the fire levy. My policy is I generally tend not to try to debate, but just to sort of spread factual information and answer people's questions. Obviously, we have an opinion about the matter. We put it on the ballot, but as Mrs. Lucci said about, and Mr. Dondorfer too, just trying to set the record straight. I did feel our stakeholder meeting was successful, and we do have another one scheduled on the 24th. I've been encouraging people to either come to the one on the 24th or catch the recording that we put on the website, because it's all there.
Right.
And as well as the information and material we presented during that. So if you didn't get it, you can see it there. If you can't make the 24th, the information's available. There's actually quite a bit of information that we presented. So we encourage people to check that out. And with that, department reports, Mr. Rose.
Thank you, Mr. McIntosh, members of the board, Mr. Technip, members of the audience, good evening. I'll start with a few items that are on the agenda. Items B and C are votes for purchase orders for fire turnout gear. The fire turnout gear purchases are separated into two separate purchase orders because one of them is tied specifically to a grant that we received from Bureau of Workers' Comp. So we had to separate that out. And I just want to say I really appreciate the work that the fire department did. You know, grants just don't come by sending a quick email saying I'd like to apply and get this grant. There's a lot of paperwork, there's a lot of research. Every grant comes with data. And this grant resulted in a grant of about $12,498. So that's a significant grant for turnout gear. So I appreciate their efforts to do that. And then item D is a vote to make an offer of employment. That is for the assistant zoning inspector position. And now I know you've touched on it a little bit, but I feel compelled. I'd like to turn my attention to the upcoming safety services levy. Quite frankly, I've reviewed some bad information on social media and through emails. I fielded calls from residents regarding the levy, and I do my best to answer their questions and make sure they understand what this levy is and what this levy isn't. This levy is a replacement levy. If the levy passes, it replaces the current 4.0 mil continuous levy that's collecting at 3.05 mils that's currently in place. This levy ask of 6.5 mils is not added to the 4.0 safety services levy, it replaces it. Yes, there is an increase. That's the most common question that I've gotten. The amount of the increase is $120.75 per 100,000. That's the number. We've published that number. We have put that number out at the stakeholder meeting as well. That information is on our website. We have never hidden that fact. Some have said we were being slippery about the levy. Discussions on this levy go back to July when lengthy discussions were held during trustee meetings, and they're on the record and available for viewing on the township's website. The information about a slush fund is absolutely false. We, meaning the trustees, the fiscal officer, and administration, along with fire department leadership, we've spent hours doing a careful evaluation in order to determine the correct and appropriate amount, determining the financial needs for fire, EMS, and policing services going forward. I'm happy to discuss this levy, review this levy with anyone and our township finances. Mr. Technip and I met with a resident yesterday for an hour going over township finances because they had questions. We're happy to do so. I encourage residents to contact any of us if you have questions and or concerns, and we'll be happy to address them. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rose. Yeah, I think that hits on some of the things that we've had to explain out in the community. Any additional comments?
Yeah, I'll start out. Thank you, Mr. Rose, and I think we've done a good job as the board of trustees. I know we have an obligation and duty as good stewards of the township to keep people informed and be transparent. And what we've said is it comes down to a level of service. We want to sustain the current level of service that we have between our fire and our police. And to do that, we have to put this levy initiative up on the ballot and give our residents the opportunity to decide what level of service they want. This is not, none of these funds will be used for Fire Station 2. That has been some of the information that has been circulated throughout the township. This money is not going to be used for Fire Station 2 construction. This money is for bodies, it's for personnel, police officers, firefighters, and operations, so that they can safely serve the residents of our community and keep the level of service that we currently have.
Yeah, I believe we were very thoughtful in our decision to ask for a replacement for additional funding. We've had the same revenue stream for 8 years, and our financial records show that it's not going to sustain our services for fire and police in the foreseeable future. The financials are there. Anybody can look at them. We're not trying to hide anything or have any kind of fund outside of that. But I thought, we tried to come up with other ways that we could fund these services, and this was our best decision. And we thought it was a very thoughtful decision because we are fully committed to being responsible for the safety and welfare of our community. I mean, we want people to move here. We want businesses to be here because it's a safe place to live and to have a business. So I don't think it's a good idea right now. It's not in our best interest to defund the police or fire. We would have to make cuts, and I don't feel that that's right for Concord Township.
Yeah, I agree with all of you. We've talked about this multiple times. I mean, going back to 2021 when we agreed to take on the COPS grant and increase our patrols with the deputies in response to the increase in crime that we saw. We've talked a bit about how we use the CARES Act money and the ARPA money to support that, and we've been getting by very lean the last few years as that levy's not been adequate for a bit, but we've been making the best, doing the best that we can, and we've gotten to that exhaustion point. And we talked a lot about it this summer. Incidentally, there have been seven news stories between News Herald, Lake County Gazette, and various local entities that have covered it. We've discussed it in multiple, again, a running conversation over the last 2 years, a very regular conversation the last several months. And we've been on social media talking about it. We've done press releases. We have the stakeholder meeting. We're doing a second stakeholder meeting. We've been very transparent, showing financials, showing cost of things during the stakeholder meeting. We're not trying to hide anything. We are here, and I know this is trying times for everybody with the costs. Unfortunately, the township, we have the same inflation. We're experiencing it ourselves, and I do believe, you get the whole we're seniors and this and that, and I understand. I really do underappreciate that, but I think in the same breath, that's really who we're thinking of. We have a community that needs a responsive fire department, and without that, without this levy replacement, we aren't going to be able to meet that need. So thank you, Mr. Rose, for bringing some of that up and helping straighten out the record.
Thanks, sir.
And with that, we'll move on to the audience portion. And I do see we have some audience this evening. One.
Welcome.
Well, your presence fills the room, so go ahead.
A familiar face.
Thank you.
A familiar face.
Well, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Ron Terriaco, 7030 Pine Hill Road, Concord Township. About a year and a half ago, after 40 years, I retired from Concord Township Fire Department. So I just have a few comments about the Safety Forces levy. My apologies for missing the stakeholder meeting. I really wanted to be there, but I was actually sitting at that table for a zoning commission meeting, so I had to fill in. So that took a little precedence over that. So after watching the stakeholder meeting, I then went to the trustee meeting and watched that, where you spoke about the Safety Services levy, and then retired Chief Mike Warner spoke. So I wanted to do is just add some comments to those two meetings and what Chief Warner spoke about.
pertaining to the fire department. And don't get me wrong, I agree with the sheriff's office and all what they do. No doubt that's a great value, because it's just not the road patrol. When you look at the detective bureau, so over those 40 years of being here, I worked hand in hand with the detective bureau with arson fires, whether it's for vehicles, trying to fraud the insurance companies, and we had a lot of denial of claims and stuff like that, which benefits. Some of our arson fires at the homes worked hand in hand with the detective bureau, where we found a person, convicted them, arrested them, convicted, and jail time served. So working hand in hand with the sheriff's office. So what another great value. And in the SWAT team, look at the SWAT team and our connections with the SWAT team. Concord Fire Department provides, when I was there, one SWAT medic, and then I think they've added another one.
Two more.
Three. Two more. Under the direction of Adam White, he's done a remarkable job with the sheriff's department and the SWAT team, being the SWAT medic. So moving forward, our firefighters do the bulk of their daily work responding to incidents, and they're doing their training, and they're doing their vehicle maintenance, station maintenance, and staffing, equipment checks, and so on. But what I wanted to talk about is something that sort of goes unrecognized, and not so much as a pat on the back, but it's the plan review in the fire department that has a say in the development of the community. Whether it's the development in the roads that go in, we do have a say with the road widths, but most importantly with the water lines and the infrastructure under those roadways to make sure the fire hydrants are adequate and the water supply is adequate to provide that fire protection for those homeowners. Take that a step further, the plan review for all of our commercial buildings. And the reason I say all this is because we drive down those roads, and in the commercial buildings we work in or we live in or we visit, so we got to make sure those buildings are safe. So we plan and we work hand in hand with the building department and zoning, from the infrastructure all the way up to the roof of the building, from day one in the plan review to the day that they open their door. Our fire department is always there daily to enforce the codes, to make sure those buildings are safe, and the right amount of equipment, fire protection is provided. So when you drive down Crowell Road and you see Crowell Crossing, or you see the hotel, or you see the new drug mart, and all those buildings there, the fire department had a big part in that project, in all those projects. When you go to Auburn Road, you look at the hospital, you look at Vista Springs, Concord Care Campus, Concord Village, all those buildings, whether it's on our side, on the Station 1 side or the Station 2 side, the fire department played a big part in that. And sometimes that goes unrecognized of what we get for the value of our dollar coming into the fire department. And then that services continue. That services continue with annual fire inspections, annual fire protection testing, all of that plays a big part. Education that the fire department provides, not only for homeowners, little children in the schools, it pays big dividends, And the other thing I want to touch about is our help with the fire department. I sort of speak as our because I'm still newly retired. I'm not that far away from not being part of it. It's the ISO rating. So that the Concord Fire Department plays a part in your insurance rating for your home or your business. When I started in 1982, towards the end of the 80s, our rating was a 9.7. So 1 is the best, 10 is the worst. Fire department means you have nothing. We were a rating of a 9.7, we were split. Through the years, we went from 9.7 to a 5, and that was under retired Chief Richard Terriaco. Retired Chief Warner took us to a 4, and then Chief Matt Sable took us to an ISO grade of 3. That's pretty good. Anything from 9 to 5 really benefits the homeowners. 5 to 1 really benefits the businesses. So that's a significant savings for them. So I just wanted to pass that on, because I think sometimes that goes unrecognized of all the things that the fire department does. So over the 40 years of my service, we've always asked for minimal dollars to maintain the service we always provided. The Board of Trustees always made sure that we did the right numbers to match our service. We never went above and beyond. We always kept our word and the services we said we would provide. The fire department again is asking for the support to keep the services that they provide. So in closing, I just want to say this. Between myself, retired Chief Mike Warner, and retired Chief Richard Terriaco, we are in support of the Safety Services Levy. So let's keep our fire and law enforcement moving forward. And yes, you can put a sign in my yard. I appreciate it. So thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ron.
You're still family, DC.
That's right.
Okay, moving on from audience, old business, there is none. We'll get into the new business.
Mr. Chairman, I will make a motion to approve the September financial report.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries, 3 ayes.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve fire department purchase order to Phoenix Safety Outfitters in the amount of $13,510 for firefighter turnout gear.
And I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I will make a motion to approve PO to Phoenix Safety Outfitters in the amount of $14,998 for firefighter turnout gear, purchased in response to being awarded $12,498.33 BWC fee grant to assist in purchase of hoods and structural fire gloves.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
No?
I think I'll say one thing is when you talk about the fire department working hard, and I know Mr. Rose mentioned it, and we just heard from retired Deputy Chief Terriaco, kudos to them for the grant. I mean, we get asked that question. We're on the ballot. Do we, grants don't fund salaries and so forth, but they do take care of things like this. And the fire department applies for a lot, and we don't get a lot, but we do get them from time to time, and they are always very helpful. So kudos to them for that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Mr. Chairman, I move to offer conditional offer of employment to Michael Gerson for full-time assistant zoning inspector, $22 per hour, 30 hours per week, pending completion of new hire paperwork.
And I will second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Future meetings and announcements.
Yes, on October 24th, there will be a stakeholders meeting to discuss the safety levy at the Concord Community Center, and that will be held at 6 p.m. On October 30th, at 3 p.m., a staff meeting will be held at Town Hall. On Halloween, October 31st, it's the time frame of 6 to 8 p.m., trick or treat will be held in the township. And then on November 1st, trustee office hours will be held in the conference room from 6:30 to 7:30, and following that at 7:30 p.m. will be the trustee meeting at Town Hall.
All right, and with that, conclude our meeting.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.